president again with a passion for welcoming friends.
The plan is not to grind to a halt the activities of any agency, but our role is to institute fiscal discipline.
Money-making agencies to bring out 450 billion naira.
NACA is very happy to announce that rate of prevalence has gone below 2%.
Taking precise steps to cut down HIV and AIDS. And checking on homes for affordability. A warm welcome to NTA Network News. I am Elizabeth Banu. Thank you for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has reiterated the essence of national unity and urged those contemplating breakup to change their position. He stated this in an audience he granted to the Council of Southeast Traditional Rulers. State House correspondent Adam Musombo reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari was emphatic that the question of dismembering the country is not only difficult but misplaced. He therefore asked the separatists to drop the idea and concentrate on harnessing the nation's endowments for a greater future. The president appealed to the monarchs from the southeast to persuade their people to give his government a chance to rebuild Nigeria for genuine prosperity. On the request for more representation for the southeast in government, President Buhari said his administration is very conscious of such sensitivities, hence the allocation of senior ranking ministers in the federal cabinet to 4 out of the 5 states of the region. Those appointees, he said, are doing well for Nigeria, and he is very appreciative. He promised that the region will also benefit from the new railway architecture being put in place by government. The president assured the delegation that having calmed down the northeast, kidnapping and cattle rustling, which he described as unfortunate, will be his administration's next target. On the fight against corruption, President Buhari expressed frustration at the endless nature of some ongoing trials, citing some of the cases as going far back to the tenure of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. As he puts it, we are asking the judiciary to clean itself as Nigerians are tired of waiting. They want some action. The president expressed the hope that the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria and the Justice Minister will come to some form of agreement by which specially designated courts will give accelerated hearing to some pending corruption cases. The chairman of the Southeast Council of Traditional Rulers, Eze Eberechi Dick, assured President Buhari of their support for his leadership and programs, but made various requests which the president promised to look into. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Still at the State House, President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration's priority of securing the country, fighting corruption and salvaging the economy are not only unchanged, but achievable in spite of prevailing challenges. He stated this while receiving the letters of credence of the new ambassadors of the United States and Morocco. Here again is Adam Sambo.
This is the second time in 1 week a befitting diplomatic ceremony will be held in the State House to welcome new ambassadors posted to Nigeria. And for William Symington of the United States and Moha Tagma of the Kingdom of Morocco, this is the opportune time to formally assume official duties in Abuja. Receiving their letters of credence separately, President Muhammadu Buhari congratulated the new diplomats for their appointments, assuring them of Nigeria's willingness to improve bilateral relations with their countries. Speaking on the nation's fundamental problems being addressed by his administration, President Buhari said the security situation in the Northeast had improved significantly with the supply of hardware and military training support by the G7 countries. The culture of corruption, he also said, is being reversed with the support of well-meaning Nigerians who realized the depth of damage done to the country by the cankerworm. The president told the U.S. ambassador that the federal government is determined to continue the investigations and prosecution of corrupt persons in the country, saying Nigeria will either kill corruption or corruption will kill Nigeria in the long run. On the economy, he said years of mishandling of the nation's resources at a period of financial prosperity affected the economy, making it more challenging to create employment for the youth and improve the livelihood of Nigerians. As he puts it, it has not been easy for his administration to get things done properly with the new economic reality of $37 per barrel of oil as against the $100 before now. The U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, William Symington, promised to work hard to further strengthen the relations between Nigeria and his country, expressing the conviction that the president-elect, Donald Trump, will be interested in the well-being of Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In continuation of his inspection of industrial centers, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has visited some local manufacturing companies in Ogun State, where he reiterated the Buhari administration's commitment to supporting them. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
It is the second time in less than a month that the Vice President is inspecting some local industries. The first was in Anambra State. This time, it is the Honeywell Pasta Factory located along the Shagamu-Ibadan Expressway in Ogun State. Still under construction, 50% of the raw materials that will be used when completed is expected to be from the local farmers.
We think that what we saw out there at the Honeywell plant, the sorghum plant, the feed mill plant, is fantastic. It's also going to make a huge difference.
And with government's policy of making it easier for entrepreneurs in doing business, coupled with governments getting more involved in the happenings at the factory level, many observers are of the view that there is a greater future for the country.
We see the policy of the federal government in this direction as meaningful because it touches the whole essence of governance.
When you talk about ease of doing business, so they're trying to ensure that genuine investors, genuine entrepreneurs, sincere entrepreneurs have access to investable resources on concessional terms. This is what we do.
Imagine if 2000 didn't reduce from the unemployment rate in Ogun State. How much do you have again?
Even after you invest in Nigerian money, invest it in this country. Don't go and keep it somewhere else.
The Vice President also visited the large group industry along Shagamu-Benin Expressway, which has the potential of making Nigeria the leading manufacturer of shea butter in Africa.
Well, this is a great show of determination by the federal government towards assisting our industries to grow and also to assist the youths to have employment. From Ikeneremo in Ogun State, is Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The 2017 appropriation bill, soon to be presented to the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari, will be passed in good time for implementation. Senate President Bukola Saraki told State House correspondents after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors. He said necessary consultations have already been made between the executive and the legislature in the preparations of the fiscal document.
Once the documents come to us, we're ready. I think this time round, a lot of work has taken place behind the scenes. Been a lot of more collaboration, and I think that you will see the result in the time frame to take after the president releases.
But a resolution on the MTF?
Well, that's still work in progress. I'm sure very soon that also will be concluded. But I'm very optimistic that this year's budget will be passed much sooner than what we saw in 2016. Well, I haven't seen the details yet until President lays it. Once President will...
How soon will that be?
Well, I'm sure within the next week, 10 days, we'll probably get it.
State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports that this is the second time Senate President Bukola Saraki is visiting the presidential villa this week. The federal government says of the 33 revenue-generating agencies so far audited, 17 have been identified as being in possession of 450 billion naira outstanding and recoverable surpluses. Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun at a briefing said it is necessary that organizations adhere strictly to the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which provides guidelines and controls to elicit greater accountability and transparency. Leah Katumba Batunde has details.
The figures were derived from an audit exercise for a period of 5 years between 2010 and 2015, where it was discovered that compliance to the Fiscal Responsibility Act (FRA) has been poor, resulting in revenue leakages. The audit found out that 17 agencies owed varying amounts in surpluses.
They should come with their own repayment proposal. But what we've also done is we're looking at their TSA account to understand how much money they actually have. Because in some cases, these surpluses are in their account. Maybe in the past, they were placing this money in the bank. So some agencies actually have the money. It's just a question of paying.
The minister said all government agencies must submit a budget to be approved by the National Assembly or forfeit their allocation. To this end, a circular has been issued to the relevant agencies to comply with, and a recovery committee chaired by the Accountant General of the Federation has been set up to recover the outstanding 450 billion naira operating surpluses. The minister urged agencies to pursue their revenue drive within the ambit of the law and not operate in isolation.
The plan is not to grind to a halt the activities of any agency, but our role is to institute fiscal discipline in all the agencies.
92 additional corporations, agencies and government-owned companies are to be added to the number of government agencies required to comply with the strict provision of the FRA, including remitting 80% of their operating surpluses. In Abuja, Lekatung Babatunde, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has passed at second reading a bill for an act to amend the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act of 2004. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the bill seeks to provide for sanctions against agencies who fail to remit their specified percentage of revenue to the Federation account.
The sponsor of the bill that seeks to amend the Revenue Mobilization Commission Act, Representative Abbas Tajuddin from Kaduna State, argued that Nigeria has lost huge revenue from the non-remittance to the Federation account by some agencies mandated by the Constitution to do so.
To enhance the revenue profile and remittances into the Federation account.
So consolidated account is the one you are likely talking about. The Federation account is the account that if you pay money into, local government and states too, we have opportunity to take a share out of it.
It will then be clear that if you tamper with what ought to come to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, then you go in for it.
These revenue generating agencies, they actually need better supervision.
By the time we get back to the public hearing level, we should be able to do justice to it, and more input will be allowed so that we can do the needful.
A bill for an act to provide protection of identities of national security agencies and their personnel from unlawful disclosure, sponsored by Representative Wole Oke from Osun State, was also passed at second reading.
The terrorists go after them because their identities are there on the streets.
Representative Ahmed Yerima from Bauchi State moved that the House do investigate rampant cases of intimidation and harassment of innocent persons in Bauchi State by the Nigerian police.
The police became an instrument of political struggle, political crisis, they are part of it.
The House advised the federal government to revitalize Nigeria's textile industry as part of measures to create jobs. The motion was moved by Representative Sunday Katung from Kaduna State. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The INEC Amendment Bill has been stepped down to another legislative day for further deliberation at Thursday's plenary. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayano reports that the session featured varied contributions in determining how best to use card readers during elections.
Presenting a report of the Committee on INEC, Senator Abubakar Kyari said the decision on using card reader and or manual voting has generated controversy across the nation over time.
Card reader never failed to read.
the card. But what it failed to do was to tie the biometric of that person to that particular card.
When the plenary dissolved into a committee of the whole, contributions from senators mostly centered on the merit of the card reader.
I believe strongly that the issue of the card reader is something that we must look at twice. And we should take a look, realizing the state of technological development in Nigeria.
There were electoral bodies from all over the world, including third world countries, where power is not even as stable as Nigeria. And there at that conference, they used the participants who were present as guinea pigs to test the card reader. And by the time we all left, we were convinced that it would work.
When we did the Edo and Ondo election, there was less than 1% failure on the card reader.
Earlier, both Senate President and the leader commended the PDP caucus for exhibiting maturity in resolving the issues that emanated in their walking out of plenary on Wednesday.
We're here representing the country and the people that voted for us. The issues before us do not really know which party, but what is important is continue to move Nigeria forward, and I must continue to appreciate the collaboration.
By what has happened today, I'm convinced that there is not a single issue that is not being, or that the Senate does not have the capacity to put behind it.
The Senate caucus of the PDP, that we are very happy to be back after a protracted discussion.
Outside plenary, the Senate President received leaders of the Magistrate Association of Nigeria and those of the African Programs Campaigns for Tobacco-Free Kids. From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has described as heartwarming and encouraging federal government's determination to restore normalcy in the Northeast through assistance from international agencies. It was at a reception in honor of 8 directors from the United Nations humanitarian agencies who arrived to Nigeria on an on-the-spot assessment of humanitarian work in the region. Anthony Forson reports.
The 8 directors from the United Nations different agencies arrived in Nigeria ahead of a fundraising to cater for the humanitarian needs in the Northeast and, most importantly, assess the level of support they have rendered so far and the impact it has made. By this, the delegation will be in a better position to aggregate the level of support they will be rendering subsequently. It is in the light of this that Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed attributes the gesture to the federal government's determination to return normalcy in the affected areas.
The crisis we are facing in the Northeast is actually a crisis of a global proportion. The government is determined, the government is passionate to not only address what we see as the immediate issues.
There are too many people suffering, and we in the international community, we must do more to help.
For Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development and Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, the coming of the United Nations directors is a wake-up call.
What is going on here is a very welcome development. We are happy that people that have been helping us have now come to us to ask us what we really need.
Because it means we will have the right level of intervention by these development partners.
Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima spoke emphatically on plans to make sure that all IDP camps in the state are closed.
The IDP camps all over are pregnant with lots of challenges of early child marriages, of prostitution rings, of drug abuse, of gangsterism, of corruption. And for me, I am determined to close all the IDP camps by 29th May next year. We have to restore back the dignity of our people.
In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons has explained that its new functional office in Yola is to ease activities for better life for those displaced by insurgents. It came from the Federal Commissioner of the agency, Sadia Umar Farouk, while distributing relief materials to the group. Tafaiwa Hamza Mayo reports.
The commissioner was in Yola as part of her tour to insurgency-affected areas in the northeastern state of the country, where she affirmed that the commission will start a durable solution program in ensuring reconstruction, rehabilitation and integration of the IDPs is achieved. During her meeting with the Adamawa State Governor Senator Muhammad Umaru Jibrilla, the Federal Commissioner NCRMI, Sadia Umar Farouk, confirmed to the Governor President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment to curb the menace of the insurgency and appealed to the state government to continue to support those displaced.
The federal government is fully committed to finding a lasting solution to the plight of the internally displaced persons in Nigeria, especially in the northeastern part of the country. I further wish to state that the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs will continue to play its role in accordance with its mandates and principles of international protection by providing care, maintenance and durable solutions for IDPs as they are victims of forced displacement.
Speaking during the sharing ceremony, Governor Muhammad Umaru Jibrilla said so far the state is peaceful and called on the Commission to do more. The representative of the IDPs and some stakeholders appreciated the Commission for the gesture and assured of using the items judiciously. In Yola, Tafawa, Hamza Mayo, NTA News.
Another support is coming on the way of the poorest people in Nigeria as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation partners with Nigeria's Governors Forum with a grant of $2 million United States dollars. As part of activities to launch the grant, the foundation and the Governors Forum held a joint press briefing in Abuja. Abdullah Garba Kudu has details.
A successful intervention in the fight against polio scourge in Nigeria, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is expanding its support. This time around, it is a grant of $2 million United States dollars covering 3 years. The focus will be on providing technical support in the primary health care, effective ways of generating and managing revenues, and help desks for the 36 states.
We are hoping this partnership will now expand our work both into the areas of more effective revenue use and management, because we know, especially at this time of real fiscal challenges in Nigeria, to make sure that the resources that are available are used as effectively and as high impact a way as possible.
Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol of Sokoto and Abubakar Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi, who represented the governors, pledged commitment to the partnership.
Go a long way fast in providing training and retraining and helping states to get better organized. It's going to also help the state in building the capacity of our various heads of revenue agencies and members of their staff.
The Director General Nigeria Governors Forum, Asishana Okaru, said efforts are on to consolidate on the success recorded in the partnership with the foundation, especially the fight against polio scourge. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force has intensified air operations in support of Operation Rescue Finale to create an enabling environment for the final onslaught against the Boko Haram terrorists in Sambisa forests. Already, the air interdiction and armed reconnaissance by NAF fighter jets and helicopter gunships against terrorist camps and major hideouts has decimated the capability of the insurgents. Nigerian Air Force has also provided air cover for troops during advanced operations to prevent ambush, while leaflets are dropped from helicopters in furtherance of the psychological operation to persuade those willing to lay down their arms and embrace peace. This operation also avails those trapped the opportunity to reunite with their families. Also, some camps and hideouts in Gidangarba and Burwaye areas of Zamfara State have been recovered by the Nigerian Air Force following intelligence report from NAF platforms to pave the way for ground forces to move into affected areas. Government will not relent on its oars in providing enabling environment for business to flourish to address unemployment issues in the country. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, stated this after inspecting some housing estates under construction in Abuja. Abdullahi Musa Suleja has details.
The minister also visited a company where building materials are produced side by side with construction of the houses. Mr. Fashola said while no government single-handedly provides infrastructure, partnership with the private sector is key and will enable an environment where many more workers and artisans can be engaged.
How do we get to acceptability and affordability? That's what we must all work on, all of the developers, so we can bring down costs, we can meet the market, because once we do that, then Federal Mortgage Bank will do its work.
The minister said government is working to ensure the houses are accessible and affordable, especially by low-income earners. In Abuja, Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Nigeria joined the rest of the world to commemorate the 2016 World AIDS Day with the theme, Hands Up for HIV Prevention. In his message, President Muhammadu Buhari urges key players to not only work towards zero new HIV infections and discrimination, but must remove every barrier that promotes mother-to-child transmission. Health correspondent Rabi Abdullah has more.
Of the estimated 3.5 million people living with HIV and AIDS in Nigeria, only 860,000 are currently accessing antiretroviral therapy, of which children constitute only 5%. This is in the face of very high incidence of mother-to-child transmission of the virus. Apart from being a day set aside to remember all those who have fallen victim to the global pandemic, World AIDS Day offers nations the opportunity to count their blessings and losses, and in doing so, re-strategize towards ending the pandemic. President Muhammadu Buhari's message, where he promised to redeem the $10 million pledged to Global Fund intervention in the country, was delivered by the Minister of Health.
Looking forward, we work towards reducing the cost of delivering HIV care to our citizens through engagement with the pharmaceutical industry to support the local production of antiretroviral medications and test kits.
Our country is going through a serious economic crisis, but irrespective of the economic situation, we need to diversify and mobilize our resources for the final push towards eliminating AIDS in our country.
On service integration that include both malaria, TB, and as well, where we can't bear the luxury of forgetting about hepatitis as well.
Two documents, the 2016 National Guideline for HIV Treatment and Care, and the other for fast-tracking HIV treatment and the Prevention of Mother-to-Child Transmission Program in Nigeria were launched. Driven by three strong words of leadership, commitment, and impact, the 2016 World AIDS Day is yet another wake-up call for duty bearers and the society at large to give momentum and focus to HIV prevention, treatment, care, and support. In Abuja, this is Rabi Abdullah.
And to talk more on the World AIDS Day is Dr. Emmanuel Al-Hassan, Director, Partnership Coordinations, NACA. You're welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much.
Now, as we've heard, the world is committed to end the epidemic by 2030, and many countries are increasingly working to stop mother-to-child transmission especially. I'm coming back home and we're taking stock of national HIV and AIDS response. What would you describe as the country's success story and its lowest ebb?
In the last decade, one of the key things that has happened is we have 41% in terms of the annual deaths. It's 41% lower. In terms, of new infections, 54%. That is a great achievement. In terms of the lowest ebb, of course, we saw that the epidemic actually rose to 5.8%. It almost 6% in 2001. And based on the last seroprevalence survey, it's down to 3%, even though programmatic data in the last couple of years show that we're well on our way to the prevalence being below 2%. One of the critical success that has happened is that the Nigerian government has taken charge of 50,000 people on ART in Abia and Taraba states.
What would you say is new now in terms of universal access to prevention, treatment, care, and support, that is in view of the dwindling donor support?
So, in addition to government looking into ways and means of increasing budgetary allocations to the response to HIV in Nigeria, one key thing where we have a paradigm shift is in terms of integrating the whole continuum of HIV services into the health insurance package for all enrollees. That actually is a strategy that is going to go a long way in ensuring that there is sustainability in terms of funding for the HIV response in Nigeria.
And in terms of the huge gap in treatment, we understand that we have about just 860,000 of the 3.5 million people living with the virus that have access to treatment. Now, how involved would you say the local governments, the states, as well as the private sector in terms of corporate social responsibility now?
The private sector, in the past decade, has really done a lot, but there's a lot that needs to be done. I know that in the last decade, the private sector, through direct support to programs, has contributed over 5 billion naira to the response. There's still a lot to be done by the state and by the local government, particularly at the subnational level, because as we speak, the federal government is actually contributing about 27% of the total basket of funding for the pandemic, and so of course we still need to do more. But the state stands at less than 5%, and so we really would like to appeal to the states to do much more than they are doing, and to see that even at community level, at local government level, a lot more is done for HIV in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Emmanuel Al-Hassan, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much indeed.
You can now watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. And a quick trip to Niger State to make women richer. That's when we return. Stay with us.
This is a happy moment for me and for all Nigerians.
Amina Ali Nkeke, the first Chibok school girl to be rescued in the renewed onslaught against the Boko Haram insurgency.
Amina's rescue gives us new hope.
Federal government has formally received the 21 abducted Chibok girls.
These dear daughters of ours have seen the worst that the world has to offer. It is now time for them to experience the best that the world can do for them. Government will sustain the effort until all the remaining girls return safely.
Season's greetings from FCMB, My Bank and I.
Whenever pain occurs, you want quick relief. Try new Nurofen Express. It goes to the source of pain and gets to work in under 15 minutes. That's why Nurofen Express delivers fast and effective relief. New Nurofen Express works at the source of pain, fast.
Being a mom is great, but when your child has a fever, you don't know what to do. I trust Nurofen for Children to take care of my child's pain and fever.
Effective relief you can trust.
The Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs announces the postponement of the second regular meeting of the National Council on Niger Delta, scheduled to hold from 4th to 9th December 2016 in Akure, Ondo State. We regret the inconveniences the postponement may have caused all our members of the Council, our invited guests, and other stakeholders. A new date and venue will be announced later. William Alo, Permanent Secretary, Announcer.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in collaboration with the Office of the Wife of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mrs. Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, invites you to the program Nigerian Women Against Corruption.
The program, which is designed to increase women participation in the fight against corruption in Nigeria, comes up on Wednesday, 7th of December 2016 at the International Conference Center, Abuja. Time, 9 a.m. prompt.
It is believed that Nigerian women will be adequately galvanized by this engagement to take full ownership of the war against corruption.
For further inquiries, please contact Wanyima Okianu on 0803-330-8837.
Be part of this epoch-making event.
Hello, dear. You've got the first signs of a sore throat.
Yes, and I'm afraid it could be signs of a sore throat.
Don't you worry. Just act immediately, but not with non-medicated throat sweet. Take an expert product. Take Strepsils. Look at what it does to sore throat germs compared to a throat sweet. Strepsils not only stops the germs from multiplying, it even kills them.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, sore throat. Stop a sore throat early. Take Strepsils.
The Future Assured project and its components, Get Involved, initiated by the wife of the President, Her Excellency Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is not relenting in championing the cause of Nigerian women and children. Its provision of free medical screening, educational support, and the fight against malnutrition, especially in the Northeast, has indeed informed international recognition, partnerships, and awards.
We are very grateful and appreciative for your wonderful gesture you have accorded to us.
With Future Assured, Nigerian women and children are assured of a bright future.
Future is assured when we join hands to promote the health of our women and children. Get involved.
Get involved and support the Future Assured initiative. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
The Senate Committee on Customs, Excise and Tariff hereby invites memoranda from the following: Federal Ministries of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Industry, Trade and Investment, Nigeria Customs Service, Central Bank of Nigeria, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Bureau of Public Enterprises, Nigeria Ports Authority, Nigeria Ships Council, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Ports Concessionaires, all stakeholders and the public. All memoranda should be submitted in 16 hard copies and 1 soft copy to the Committee Secretariat on or before Friday, December 2nd, 2016. For further inquiries, please contact the committee clerk. You are invited specially to the public hearing slated for Monday, December 5th, 2016 at the conference room 231, 2nd floor, National Assembly Complex, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. prompt. Senator Hope Uzodinma, Chairman, Announcer.
Nigeria joins the rest of the world in going digital. This means Nigeria is moving from analog terrestrial TV broadcasting to digital. Now, digital broadcasting gives you clearer pictures, crystal clear sound, and a chance for more channels and more shows to watch. Digital TV is a whole new experience for you and a rich harvest of digital events for the nation. Come aboard, Nigeria going digital.
Coming to Abuja soon.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Aisha Jumai Al-Hassan, advises women to avail themselves of opportunities of the federal government's social interventions in closing economic gaps, especially for the rural poor. Talatu Ezerike reports that the minister was speaking during a sensitization visit to Niger State.
Poverty is one challenge facing women, especially in developing countries.
This Minister of Women Affairs says it's being tackled, especially through the National Women Economic Fund, with 1.6 billion naira set aside for women empowerment. She notes that the program, a revolving loan, offers women between 10,000 to 100,000 naira with no collateral and easy repayment condition.
Government aim is to reach those who have no income or working capital to ensure the sustainability of this program from past failed programs. Sanctions have been put in place to deter abuse.
We have been supporting government in areas of comprehensive healthcare delivery services in the state.
The visit coincided with a flag of skill and empowerment for 250 unemployed girls and women, for which the governor's representative assures of more developmental program.
Program, especially those of in 2017, one, women empowerment, youth empowerment, and child health.
The program highly applauded. Talati Ezerike, NTA News.
Acting Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, has urged the judiciary to speed up trials of all cases of corruption so as to make progress in fighting the social malaise. It was during a discussion with the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Chibok Ibas, to solicit support for its new campaign strategy tagged Women Against Corruption, which is to be launched on the 7th of December by wife of the President, Aisha Buhari.
If we are able to sustain this tempo, this tempo for maybe next 2 years, Nigeria will change, definitely. So we want to call on everybody to join in the fight against corruption. Also goes to the judiciary, appeal to them to join in the fight against corruption.
Enumerating successes recorded in collaboration with the EFCC in prosecuting oil theft cases and other illegal maritime activities, Vice Admiral Ibas said a template for economic activities within the nation's maritime domain is in the offing to guide freight operations and boost revenue generation.
Dismissed, disrated, and demoted, for crimes that are concerning crude oil theft, as well as illegal bunkering and complicity in such cases. Of course, in other areas, the Navy prides itself as a disciplined organization and will at no time tolerate such misdemeanors.
Thank you, sir. Okay. After months of uncertainty for producers and consumers of crude oil, following the reduced prices and revenues, the global oil market energy experts say is about rebalancing. This comes as OPEC agrees to cut its production by 1.2 million barrels daily and mobilizes non-OPEC producers to equally take out 600,000 to reduce the supply glut. Energy correspondent Hawa Salihu Adama examines this historic step by OPEC at its 71st meeting in Vienna.
Reacting to what it refers to as realities on the ground and in the interest of producers and consumers, member nations of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries agreed to implement the Oil Use Code effective January 1, 2017.
Indications today already, before the announcement, is that the price has begun to rebalance. We expect this to trend the marketplace prices over and above the $60 a barrel price. It gives us time to get our house in order in terms of the Nigeria Delta crisis. Already production in Nigeria is closer to 1.9. We expect us to return back to forming that, but not to again flood the market as it were. All of us have a responsibility to contribute to the tightness of this market.
The agreement will run for an initial 6 months and reviewed for another half a year, monitored by a ministerial committee comprising Algeria, Kuwait, Venezuela, and 2 non-OPEC countries, as well as the OPEC Secretariat. With close to a $10 trillion estimated oil-related investment in the upstream, midstream, and downstream, the issue of a stable price regime for OPEC's oil remains a major worry, which the Secretariat of the Oil Cartel says it remains committed to. A commitment expected to turn around a significant reduced investment in the oil industry to meet the projected 2040 demand growth.
Today's unity is a very explicit sign about the position of OPEC.
As Indonesia suspends its membership of the group, Conference President Dr. Mohammed bin Saleh Al Sada acknowledged the high-level consultations by the OPEC Secretary General Dr. Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo in advancing dialogue and cooperation amongst all producers, resulting in the commitment of an additional 600,000 barrels per day cut by key non-OPEC members, led by Russia. In Vienna, Austria, I'm Hawa Salihu Adama, NTA News.
About 40 years ago, Nigeria hosted Africa's most prestigious festival of arts and culture, Festac 77. Since then, Africa is yet to witness such a continental cultural rendezvous. In a conversation with one of Africa's music icons, Victor Waifo in Benin, Director General, Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization, Dr. Ferdinand Anikwe, disclosed that Nigeria and indeed Africa will commemorate the event with pomp and ceremony. Frank Okonofa reports.
Dr. Ayekwe, who noted Festac 77 celebration 40 years ago was the pride of Nigeria and Africa, said he decided to visit Professor Waifo as one of those who participated in the festival. He sued for his collaboration in making the event a success.
That what we are doing, which is in information management, is a very vital part of the creative economy. And we are pleading that the rest of you will come together. I will be able to quantify our quantum of contributions from this sector, and Nigeria can make it from here. You have seen Nollywood, you've seen our great...
Professor Victor Waifo thanked the visitor for the visit and promised to partner with the center to make the celebration the best.
The nostalgic feeling of that event still rings in my mind. You know, I cannot wait to see that event come true.
The first cultural festival was held in 1977 in Lagos. In Benin, Frank Okonofwa, NTA News.
More reports on NTA Network News as we join Vera in Lagos. Over to you, Vera.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening. This is Lagos. In line with the federal government's initiative to encourage backward integration and economic diversification, Honeywell Flour Mills PLC has again taken the lead in actualizing the dream. The management of the company says its ongoing multi-billion naira Honeywell Foods and Agro-Allied Industry Complex is to ensure that Nigeria moves towards self-sufficiency in food production. This was during the visit of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, to the industrial complex in Shagamu, Ogun State. Tunde Saiki has more.
The chairman Honeywell Flour Mills PLC, Dr. Oba Otudeko, while taking the vice president around the industrial complex, says Honeywell PLC is transforming to accelerate Nigeria's quest for self-sufficiency in food production. He says the project started in 2014 with an investment of about 64 billion naira to develop a world-class integrated facility where local raw materials will be used, thereby reducing dependence on foreign materials by over 50%. The aim is to provide good foods at affordable prices to Nigerians.
For strong backward integration, to minimize foreign exchange consumption, and also work at a rate per square meter.
In his presentation, the managing director of the company, Larry Jayola, said the Pesta plant, one of the first phase, has a capacity of producing 140,000 metric tons. He added that the strategy for the integrated food and agro-allied plant is aimed at helping to increase the nation's gross domestic product.
An attempt to ensure that we increase food availability, thereby bringing about food safety in Nigeria.
Vice President, after the tour, commended the management of the company, especially in the area of reduction in food importation and employment creation.
What we're looking at is looking at some game-changing type projects, such as we have here. The types of projects that can make a real difference.
Honeywell Flour Mills PLC is the producer of a range of food products like Honeywell Semolina, pasta, noodles, flour, and wheat meal. In Shagam, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Losing a loved one can be very painful, but managing the grief not only soothes the nerves, but also rekindles hope that life can still be beautiful in spite of the loss. This was the thinking behind the launch of a foundation for the care of bereaved parents in Lagos. The wife of the Vice President, Mrs. Dolapo Osibajo, launched the foundation. The launch of ABAM Grief Share Foundation is coming on the heels of the unexpected death of a young and vibrant Nigerian, Eisieme Alunge, who passed away on the 10th of June 2015. The foundation, according to the wife of the Vice President, Mrs. Dolapo Osibajo, will provide succor and hope to the bereaved in order to handle effectively the grief caused by loss.
My hope and prayer is that this foundation will live up to its name, to offer help, succor, comfort to those who are grieving, not only in this vicinity around Lagos, but nationwide.
The initiator of the foundation, Mrs. Dupe Irile, says, her despair after losing her son, the late Ehi, gave her an understanding of the pains and grief of losing a dear one. That is why she's using the foundation to offer support to parents in a situation.
When you go into bereavement or grief, always ask, what's the purpose? Because it was a turnaround. I told one, I said, Father, take me by the hand and lead me the way to go.
Family members and friends are of the opinion that such a foundation will hasten recovery process for the bereaved.
Because being there for someone in sorrow goes a long way. It helps a lot.
Throughout the challenging period, we promise to be with you.
The ABAM Grief Share Foundation is expected to offer counseling, guidance, and organize seminars for the bereaved. You're still watching NTA Network News. We take a break now to bring you some messages. The news continues in a moment. Please stay with us.
The Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, is organizing a 4-day workshop titled Public Service Rules. The workshop is meant for all senior public officers on grade level 7 and above in the ministries, extra ministerial departments and agencies, all administrative officers, heads of units, divisions and departments in non-administrative areas, and the heads of department in the various tertiary institutions. Date Monday 13th to Thursday 16th December 2016. Venue ASCON Complex, Topo Badagry. Workshop fee 75,000 naira per participant. Account name ASCON e-collection account at any bank. Account number 023005861019. For further inquiry, please contact Mr. G.A. Afolayan, Workshop Director, on 08033182344, or Mr. E.S. Adeboye, Workshop Coordinator, on 080742857997. Announcer, Director General, ASCON.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Germs, oil, and dirt cause blemishes and uneven skin tone. You need Dettol Even Tone. It removes 99.9% of germs and is formulated to remove excess oil and dirt, helping to reduce blemishes.
Dettol Mom. She only trusts Dettol antiseptic liquid to kill 100 illness-causing germs, and it's recommended for cuts and scrapes. Worry less and love more. Don't just be any mom, be a Dettol mom. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. The sky comes falling down. There's nothing in this world I won't do. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear you call. There's nothing in this world I won't do.
Thank you for staying with us on Business News. On NTA Network News. Business News now. All share index on the Nigerian Stock Exchange gains 23.45 basis points on the first day of trading in the last month of the year 2016. Details with Vivian.
A warm welcome to the Business News segment. Policymakers and development experts on the African continent are focusing on transforming agriculture for inclusive growth. This will form part of the discussion at the 11th edition of the United Nations Economic Commission on Africa, built for Abuja. President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to lead other African leaders to the Africa Economic Conference, which has Feed Africa Towards Agro-Allied Industrialization for Inclusive Growth as its theme. The Nigerian Stock Exchange has delisted 6 stocks from its daily activities. The delisting, according to the Quotation Committee of the National Council of the Stock Exchange, is due to the inability of the affected companies to comply with rules and regulations guiding quoted companies. Still on the capital market, the equities market sustained gains Thursday as oil and gas stocks continue to drive market price. The all-share index closed positive as it appreciates by 0.09%. That wraps up the segment at this hour. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Vivian. We take another break to bring you some messages. Stay with us.
A king, his throne, his subjects. A chronicle of centuries of conquest, strength, struggle, and victory. A thriving culture. The Nigerian Television Authority presents Benin, Might, Mystery, and Myth. Benin Kingdom, showing on the network service of the NTA.
People think it's the ever-changing weather during Harmattan that makes them sick. Actually, it's the germs. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs, including flu.
Does your antiseptic liquid?
And that's NTA Network News. We thank you for watching. I'm Elizabeth Banu from all of us here. It's good night.